Hi, this is Kane Hodder, Victor Crowley, Jason from Friday the 13th. You're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.
All right, and welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I am Nasty Neil.
This is Annabelle Lecter.
That would make me Terrible Troy.
And joining us right off the bat is Charlie of House 2, Billy of Fright Night, Jonathan Stark. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking me to talk to you guys. It's funny you said Charlie of House 2, and I was like, who's Charlie? Oh, that was me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, the show is also educational. We're going to explain.
Yeah, well, I'm learning. I've already learned so much just listening to you guys already.
Mm-hmm.
I should get college credits for this.
Exactly.
You are quite wise and recognized around the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? It's funny. I write now. I'm a writer, and I do little parts and stuff when people ask me to do things. Like I have a really good friend I went to college with. He's a writer and producer, a guy named Michael Patrick King. He did The Comeback, and he did so many years of Sex and the City, and he's a great writer and a good friend. And he called me up one day. He said, "Can you do just this angry driver in The Comeback episode, the pilot?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." So I did that, but I don't really go out and audition anymore. So.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any particular reason?
Acting's tough. Writing has been really lucrative for me, so I really wanted to. I really like writing. I'm actually working on a spec feature right now, so I'm kind of taken with that. And acting was fun. I really enjoyed it, but I knew so many actors that were not making a really good living. So I kind of had the opportunity to write, and so I started writing on Cheers. That was my first job. So I kind of kept working ever since then. So it was good.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that a natural transition for you? Have you ever done any writing beforehand? Did you expect things to ever pan out like this?
Well, I'm an improviser. I come from the Groundlings here in Los Angeles, where they, Paul Rubens and Phil Hartman and Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig, they all come from the Groundlings. And a person once said to me, a friend once said to me that was an improviser, he said, you should write. And I said, well, I never really wrote before. And he said, well, look, if you do improv, you're basically writing on your feet. And you're a funny guy, so you should probably give it a shot. So I teamed up with a friend of mine, and we started writing. And, it wasn't an overnight success, but after about 2 years or so, we got our first gig. And when you start writing on Cheers, you pretty much, that will carry you through your career, because that was a pretty well-known show. Mm-hmm. But, I also acted on Cheers. I was on the sixth season of Cheers, the first episode of the sixth season of Cheers. And because my friends were running it. So I may be the only person that actually guest starred on it and wrote on it.
Did you primarily write comedy?
Yeah, I wrote sitcoms. I worked on Cheers and The Nanny for a while, and then I worked on Ellen. I worked on the Ellen Show for long, not the talk show, but way before that. And then I wrote, along with four other people, I wrote the coming out episode for her. And then I created my own show with my writing partner called According to Jim with Jim Belushi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, it's funny because you went from House 2 with John Ratzenberger, and then you did Cheers. So how was that?
Yeah, no, Ratzenberger's great. He's a really nice guy, and he's the character on House 2 is pretty much him. I mean, he's just like that. And I saw him years later when I started out on Cheers, and I said, "Oh, John, you remember?" "Oh, yeah, I remember you." And we had a nice talk, and we were very friendly during that year that I wrote on it. I also remember Kane Hodder, who was our stunt guy on House 2, and I saw him at one of those monster things. I don't remember. This was about a couple of years ago, and he was great. He's such a nice guy. It's so odd to think of him playing the horror roles he's done. But he's such a good guy.
He's hit me every time I've ever met him.
Really?
He choked me
He
once.
has a reputation for choking, and he'll
I thought it
he'll
was
kind
just
of
Neil.
pretend choke with the girls. No,
Wow,
think
I have not.
He chokes all the men and is kind to all of the ladies.
Oh, well, damn, I feel bad. I feel left out, even though he hasn't choked me yet.
Give him time.
It was funny because I watched House 2 a lot when I was a kid. It was one of my favorites, actually. And I watched it again just because we were having you on. And I saw Kane in there. I was like, oh, my God, he's the gorilla. And I was like, that's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, House 2 is funny because Fright Night was always such a big thing. And like I said, I've only been to about maybe 2 or 3 of the monster shows. And I've always thought, I completely forgot about House 2. And I had people come up to me and say, oh, man, do you have any pictures from House 2 that you could sign? And I said, no, I never even thought about that. So this time I'm going to be armed with some pictures from House 2, I've decided. So if anybody goes and wants some pictures from that, I'll have some.
Very cool. Well, by the way, to let everybody know, you'll be at Mad Monster Party, Shadow over Seattle, October 3rd through the 5th. And for all your information, you can go right to our website. There's a big banner at the top, or you go over to madmonsterseattle.com. It's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's really next week, a week from today.
I'm very excited about it. This is it's very rare that the whole cast gets together for Fright Night because I don't usually, like I said, I don't go that much, and I guess Billy Ragsdale goes sometimes. I know Chris does it. I'm not sure about how much Steven does, but not only is it the cast, but it's Heidi Sorensen is going to be there, who played the one that got killed, the prostitute that got killed, and Art Evans, who has never done these things before.
Yeah, it's his first ever convention.
Yeah, first one, and Art's the sweetest man ever, and we had so much fun working on that thing together because he just, the whole cast of Fright Night. I didn't work with Steven too much there, but between Steven and Amanda and Chris, I was always laughing. We were always cracking each other up, and we would make up these insane stories, and it would be like we'd be laughing. Tears would coming out of my eyes, and then it would be like I'd hear Tom go, "Okay, let's go, folks." So now we've got to be menacing and horrible and scary. And so it's funny. Every time I see most of those scenes with the group scene, I think right before that, we were laughing so hard we could hardly stand it.
Mm. I know, there's a few scenes, like when you're kind of bullying Charlie, Williams Ragsdale character. It does seem like you're having a good time doing that. I
did have a good time when I threw most of that stuff in where I did the sign of the cross and and all that stuff. I went into audition with that, and I thought, my thinking was, if I was a killer and I killed somebody and the cops came, the last thing I would want to do is look menacing.
Right.
So I figured, why not just look the opposite? And that would just take away all Charlie's steam. So that's what I did. And I went in on audition, and they said, "Oh, that's great. Tom really loves you." I was like, "Oh, great. So, they had to audition everybody else and everything. And 1 month would go by, and 2 months I'd call Jackie Birch, the casting person. I said, "Jackie, they can't still be interested." No, you're still number one. And I'm thinking, this is Hollywood. I've heard that a million times. So, after about, I think it was 3 months, I said, it's not going to happen. So they called me up and said, "You got it." And I was, I was over the moon.
Did you and Chris have instant chemistry together on set?
I think the chemistry was just, we found each other funny. Mm-hmm. And we also did 2 weeks of rehearsal, which you very rarely get with any kind of movies anymore, but Tom wanted 2 weeks of rehearsal, so we kind of wrote out a whole biography about the characters and everything, and Tom taped off sections of the house of where the house would be on an empty stage, and we kind of went through the lines and everything, and I think that 2 weeks we kind of we kind of all bonded.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really important to have that, and I think it showed on the screen.
Yeah. So you had like a backstory for the character and how you would have met the vampire and whatnot?
Yeah, we kind of had a lot of backstory, but the one thing I never, ever even thought of, and what everybody always asks me is, what were you?
Right.
Which
I was going to ask.
I have no idea. It's the one thing I didn't think of. But I said, you can.
Even in the Dracula story with Renfield, who was just a human.
Yeah.
But
I guess that's it. But then again, they put a stake in me, and I melted. And so I don't know if Renfield would have actually melted.
No.
So I don't really know.
You took
what
a gunshot to the head, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, not sure.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. In your backstory, though, how did you end up together?
God, you're asking me something. You're asking me something that we went through in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to go look and find my notes, but I don't even know if I have those anymore. I think it was some. I honestly can't tell you.
Uh-huh.
I think that we had talked about that Chris bit me sometime a long time ago, and I don't know. I don't know.
What do you think is about Fright Night, though, that makes it stand out above other vampire films and other films of that era? People still love it. And new generations, like it.
Well, I think it's got humor, and it's not after I've written the humor for a long time, I try to shy away from jokes. I try and go for the humor between characters, the real humor in life. And I think Tom managed to really capture lightning in a bottle with the humor and the innocence of the thing, I mean, when you look back at it now, some of the things I've never dated, like, Charlie and Amy's relationship and all that stuff. But I mean, even the character next door, Charlie's mother, Dorothy Fielding, she was so funny and just so out of it that you never thought for a second that she would understand what was going on, because she was just a ditz. Mm-hmm. So Tom managed to cover all his bases there, and you never kind of look at it going, oh, this would never happen. I mean, all the stuff in it, and I've the funny thing is I've never watched it on the big screen. I've only seen it on small screens. So I can't speak because they had a screening here in LA, and I said, I got to get out of LA because I am not going to watch my first movie. I will literally shit my pants in the theater, and that will be really bad. So I just left LA, and I never saw it, and then it was gone at some point. I thought, oh damn. So I've never seen it on a big screen, but I think it a lot of it holds up really well.
Definitely does. Would you want to see it on the big screen now, all these years later?
Yeah, I would. I saw part of it. They had a screening down here at the New York Theater, and most of the cast was there. And I saw part of it, but, we had to be out in the lobby and do autographs and stuff, so I never saw the whole thing. But, yeah, I mean, I'd love to sit in the theater and watch the whole thing. I saw Fright Night, the remake. I called up Billy Ragsdale. I said, Billy, let's go see the movie. So he said, okay, we'll meet for lunch, and then we'll go see the movie. So we went over to Burbank, and it was playing, and we were the only two people in the theater. And just as we were going into the theater, they were taking the poster down. So I said, well, I think we waited to the very last minute to see it.
Yeah. There was actually Troy and I, kind of the same thing. Troy and I went to see it, and we were the only two in the theater. But that was opening night, which wasn't a good sign.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I liked the remake.
The best part was us hooting and hollering when Chris came on. That was the most fun. But it was a good movie. I thought there was some really good stuff in it. I never understood why they wanted to do a remake, but everybody in it was really good. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I didn't miss. When I heard there was no Billy Cole character, I was like, what? But I didn't really miss that character at all.
I think the remake is good too. I know a lot. Some people are just against remakes in general, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, Colin Farrell's amazing. I mean, he's so good. I just kind of missed Chris's take on it. That's all. And not that Colin was any better or worse than Chris was. But Chris kind of had a take on it that just made him feel not quite as like not like an animal,
Mm-hmm.
And I think Colin played him more like an animal, which was his choice or the director's choice or both, which is fine. But I just like Chris's take on it a little better.
Yeah, there's definitely humanity in Chris's performance in the movie. And a couple of lines where he tells Charlie before, I'm going to give you a choice here, and there's still something to him. He's not just
Well, Chris was also my hero, because when I watched Dog Day Afternoon and saw his character in it, I was absolutely 100% convinced that was a real person. It wasn't an actor. And when I met Chris, I said to him, that's one of the best film performances I've ever seen. And it's worth going back to see, because I watched it maybe just about a year ago. Again, it's worth going back to see, if not just for Al Pacino's performance, but for Chris's too.
Mm-hmm. You said you haven't done too many of these conventions. Do you have any, since you started doing them, do you have any memories of a certain fan interaction or anything? Someone brought you something cool or had a story for you?
Well, I do remember at the last one we were at, which I think was here in L.A., it was some monster thing. I don't remember the name of it, but Amanda had these, for some reason, she brought with her these fake breasts, because in the movie, she has to have something, when she becomes kind of a vampire, she has something rather slinky on, and you can kind of see her breasts, and they gave her this fake thing to put over her with pretty large breasts. So she brought that with her, and she sold it there. And there was kind of a running joke. She's like, "Who's going to buy my boobs?" And but mostly, I just remember the fans being incredibly nice. I just, before I did these, I just thought, oh man, they're going to be weird, but they're so nice.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm a
weird and nice.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge horror fan. Okay, I've seen everything, that's worth seeing, and so I can relate to that. But I just thought, I see people walking around in costumes and stuff, but they're so nice. There's like one or two people who are just like this. This one guy came up to me. He goes, do the line, do the line. He said, I said, do you want a picture? Autograph? He says, no, I don't want to pay the money. I said, oh, okay, fine. Anyway, he said, but do the line, though. I want you to do the line. I said, what line? And he goes, the one about the kid. What are you doing, kid? I said, I don't remember the line. And he said, no. He said, okay, do it like this. What are you doing, kid? I said, okay, what are you doing, kid? He said, no, do it like you did in the movie. I said, what are you doing, kid? No. So he said, stop right before kid. I said, what are you doing, kid? He said, that's it. And he walked away. And I was like, I felt kind of complimented and humiliated at the same time. It was weird.
I'm sorry I asked you to do that. No,
it's fine. Look, I enjoy him. I wouldn't do him if I didn't enjoy him.
Yeah, of course. Now, you said you're a horror movie fan. Like, is that since you were a kid, or just?
I think so. I watched all the Hammer films, and Vincent Price and the whole Peter Cushing and all those movies. I used to sit in the theater, and my mom would basically drop me off at this theater downtown that was kind of falling into disrepair. But they had 3 Hammer films. 3 that you were there for 7 hours.
Oh,
so we'd sit there and they'd watch it, and I'd have my baseball cap, and I just I'd put it in front of my eyes just at the moment something bad was going to happen, because I just hated the scares that are come at you really fast.
Yeah.
So but we'd just sit there and eat candy and watch movies for 7 hours, and I was in heaven, and it got me hooked on horror films.
Yeah. So that's got to be pretty cool. Your first movie then is a horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was, believe me, I couldn't have been happier that it was that movie. And then House 2, which was also, not horror so much, but it had its moments too. So, and then I also did a Tales of the Crypt, which was which was an episode that I really enjoyed doing with a friend of mine named Tim Stack, and so I got to do quite a few horror things, you know.
Well,
do you ever think about doing anything else horror oriented? You're a writer. You really changed gears in your career. Do you think about maybe doing something with horror?
You know, it's funny. I've been thinking. I wrote a spec horror script from a book by a guy named Robert McCameron, who is one of my favorite authors of all time, called Stinger. If you have not read the book, I could not recommend it higher. It's just fantastic. And all his books are wonderful, and nobody has done anything. So I bought the rights to it and wrote it with a friend of mine, and it really turned out well. And we've been shopping it around, so I don't know, you know, who knows, but it's really a scary book. As far as acting in it, I've been thinking about, because I've been writing for a long time, and I've been kind of thinking, well, maybe I could throw my hat in the ring acting wise again, but I don't know. You know, I'd be happy to do anything, whether it was horror or not. Acting is acting, and it would be fun to do. So, you know, I like to watch horror films. I like to watch any films, really. I'm a total film buff.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
How do you think about where horror has gone? Because it's real dividing with people seeing how much horror has changed. It's gotten darker and darker and gorier and nastier. So what are your opinions on some of those changes?
You know, I don't really mind if it gets gorier or nastier if it's a good script. But so many scripts, so many movies I'll rent, and it's like, or I'll go to a movie and it's just terrible. I mean, it's not suspenseful. There's nothing really scary about it, you know. And that's the big disappointment for me. I mean, I'll go watch a movie like Hostel or something, which gets pretty bad, but it's such a good movie, you know. Or you know, if it's really, really dark, that's okay. If it's really written well and the director, and it's in the hands of a director who knows how to really, you know, keep the tension going and keep you scared, because that to me is what it's about. I can deal with some gore. I mean, as long as that's not what it's all about, you know, I can deal with some gore and stuff like that. It just give me a movie that really scares me, you know.
You still have the baseball cap. You can pull it down over your eyes for the gore scenes.
I don't have that one, but I will get one. Yes. You know, I still, even to this day, if I go in a scary movie, if I know something's coming up scary, I will kind of look to the side of the screen until that music goes, wah! And then I look back, because then I don't, you know, jump out of my seat.
I can make my eyes go out of focus so it looks like I'm still looking.
Yeah.
You just fall asleep.
I do that too.
I know.
Only during bad movies.
I don't know about that, but
that's fair.
all right. What are some of like newer films that you do like?
Oh gosh, you know, I should have written them down, because everybody always says that, and I go, and then you know, I'm sure after an hour after I hang up, I'm going to have 10. I'm trying to think of gosh, Affliction. Have you seen Affliction?
You know what? I have not seen Affliction.
No, I haven't seen
I've
that.
heard great things about it, though.
I thought that was good. I see, you know, I see a lot of them on iTunes.
Yeah, I think Affliction's on Netflix right now.
Yeah, probably on Netflix. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I've seen, but it's just nothing's coming to me right away.
You mentioned Hostel. What are some of the qualities of that film that make you enjoy it so much?
Well, that it's so tense. I mean, it gets you right on the edge of your seat, especially once they get, you know, involved in the darker side of the hostel. I mean, you're just on the edge of your seat, and then obviously at the end when he gets that guy back, it's pretty satisfying. You know, a lot of horror movies sometimes now end with no resolution. The killer gets away, and for me, it's like, I want to see that guy killed. You know, I want to see them killed. It's like I'll sit through 13 or 14 Freddy movies as long as I know Freddy will get killed in the end. You know, it's just, I think it's just something innocent, this human thing. It's like you want to see the bad guy get it, you know, because in the real world, the bad guys don't always get it. So when you go to the movies, you pay your money, you want to see the bad guys get it.
You mentioned, about the music. You'd look away, joking about the music. But when you saw, not on the big screen, but when you saw Fright Night for the first time, with the score and the music, how much do you think that added to the film, and did you think it, really fit?
Oh, well, I mean, for the time, I think it was Brad Fidel who wrote the music. For the time, I thought the music was terrific. I mean, now I look back on it and I go, well, some of the music feels really dated. But I still like that music, that song. For some reason, I will still hum that one by Evelyn King, the one where they're dancing in the discotheque, and she's dancing, and then she sees herself, and Amanda sees herself in the mirror, and she doesn't see Jerry and everything. And I still like that music. But so, the music is very 1984, I think. And if I was going to redo the music, I would definitely hip it up a little bit. But it's right. It's good for what it is for the film. But the actual score, as opposed to the songs that were in it, the score I think is quite good. He did a really good job. I don't know what else he's done, but he did a very good job. I thought.
Yeah, I think it definitely holds up. And what was it like to be working with Roddy McDowall?
Oh man, Roddy was one of those people that, I wasn't like a big fan of his before I did it. I didn't watch a lot of his movies. I mean, I guess I saw, the original Planet of the Apes, but he was in an ape outfit. So, but when he got on the set, he couldn't have been nicer. He was like one of the sweetest people I've ever met. And he was always the person who worked hardest and never complained, as far as I know. I mean, I wasn't, privy to whatever happened between Tom and anybody else. The director has to deal with all the crap, I guess. But Roddy was so nice to me. And then during takes, between takes, which, most people probably know when you're doing it, it's a very short time of actually acting. Most of the time you're just sitting around waiting for the shot to get set up and everything. So we'd have some day shots, and then we'd have some night shots too. We would have to work all night. And Roddy would be just totally there 100%, and he'd be telling stories. And I could sit there, I could sit there talking about Montgomery Clift and Liz Taylor and all these people. And I said, Roddy, you should write a book. You really should, about all this. He said, it would tear this town apart. So they were, some of the stuff he wouldn't even talk about, but he knew a lot of stuff. And I know Billy and Chris went over to his house, and I think Amanda, for a dinner party once or twice. I wasn't part of that because I wasn't around as much, but and they just said he just regaled them with stories for hours.
Now, had you guys kept in touch at all after the film and before you started doing the conventions?
I kept in touch with everybody, actually. Amanda, I went to see Amanda do the pilot of Married with Children. She called me and she says, "Oh, you come and see me in this pilot." So I said, "Okay, I'll come." I watched it and I was like, "Well, that's fine, but never going to go." Of course, who knows? But and Billy, I kind of always kept in touch with. Stephen, I didn't. Stephen kind of went on his own journey. He had quite a journey, but he's doing great now. But
we just had him on a couple
kept in touch with.
We just had him on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And he's just, again, I mean, I keep saying all these people are so nice. It sounds like I'm repeating myself, but I was really lucky to work with such a great cast. And the same thing with House 2. It was an amazing cast, and they were so nice. So I've been, it's like I did, I think, 3 features. And I was like, and I keep thinking, I had pretty good experiences on all those. Maybe it's good that I'm not doing it anymore. That way I'm batting 1,000.
Yeah, you didn't. It keeps it pristine. Speaking
how much did that experience, that positive experience, affect your career and your expectations?
How much of that? I'm sorry. Say again.
How much of this positive experience with this great cast at that time moving forward, how do you think that affected your career and your expectations?
Well, I think it affected my expectations as when I went into a new movie, or a film or even television, I just figured, it's a family. We gotta all get along, And on some of those shows, we did. On some others, it was a rude awakening for me. And, I had actors, and this was when I was writing, I had actors that were really horrible, and it was really strange because, like you said, I kind of started out thinking, hey, man, this is great. What a great job this is. Mm-hmm. And it is. It's always a good job, but you have to realize that, you gotta take the good with the bad this time.
Well, what was it like to work with Bill Maher?
Bill was great. He was very nice. He was kind of standoffish to me because at the beginning, because we had both auditioned for Charlie, and he was the runner-up, so he got the other part. So I think he was a little pissed at me. I mean, that's my opinion. He never said anything, but once he started doing it, he warmed up, and he was very nice to me. And I love his show. I absolutely love his show. I watch it all the time. I think he's a real talent.
I was also a big fan of Politically Incorrect. When it used to be a daily show. It was great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great lines in House too. I don't know if you remember any.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I try to get my kids to watch it, but after 10 minutes, they're like, "Well, we don't want to watch it." So, I still don't know if they've watched it or not. But I don't even know if they've watched Fright Night all the way through. I'm not sure if they have, but they're not show business inclined, so they're kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
Did you try to give your kids that experience of, you said you loved all these classic Hammer movies. Did you try to kind of sneak that in with your kids when they were young?
Yeah, definitely I did. My youngest, who's now 18, she's not even big on movies. She's, I have to drag her to movies. She was like, no thanks. My wife doesn't like scary movies, and she doesn't like scary movies. My oldest, who's in college now, she started out not liking them, but now we sat down and watched quite a few, and she's kind of into it now. She we both adore The Walking Dead. I mean, that's like, after The Walking Dead, she calls me up and it's like, oh my God, you say what? I can't believe this happened. And we sit there and just talk about that for half an hour. So, yeah, she's kind of more into it now. But my youngest and my wife are just like, we don't like scary movies.
Mm-hmm. No, how much?
Speaking of scary movies, I wanted to ask you one question. I noticed on iTunes they have Fright Night 2. It's like is it a remake of? It's with a woman,
Excuse me.
And her name is Jerry. And have you seen it? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Fright that came out not long after the original Fright Night, I believe.
No, that was Fright Night 2. This is a remake of Fright Night with a woman as the Jerry character, and I have not seen it. It's not. It's actually not Fright Night 2. It's Fright Night. I think it's straight to video, and I saw on iTunes, and I was wondering if anybody had seen it.
Oh. No, I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I am very curious now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I see this. Yeah.
Well, that says something for none of us to have heard it.
Yeah, now wait a minute. You guys are supposed to be the authority on this stuff, so I'm depending on you to tell me what this is about. Maybe you'll watch it when I see you. You'll come and visit me in Seattle, right?
Yeah, we'll be.
Yeah, we're gonna check it out.
Cool. So watch it and tell me what you think.
All right, we'll get a video of us explaining Fright Night 2 to you. Yeah, I see this. It's very strange. By day, Gary Dandridge is a sexy professor. But by night, she transforms into a real-life vampire with unquenchable thirst for human blood.
Where did you find it?
It's on IMDb.
It's on iTunes, and I watched the preview, and it was like, oh, well, this is Fright Night. They remade Fright Night, except with a woman, and her name is Jerry. Geraldine, I guess, would be her name. But that's what they've done. But it really was under the radar because I don't know anybody that's heard of it.
It's very strange that it's part 2, because you would watch part 1 and Jerry's a guy, and then you'd watch part 2 and all of a sudden it's a woman.
That's not really hard.
I don't. Maybe it wasn't Fright Night 2, but it's Fright Night, and it's a remake, and I think it's only a year old.
Yeah, no, it's called Fright Night 2.
Yeah, it's part 2,
it must have been
1998.
the sequel to the remake.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's 2013. Fright Night 2, New Blood.
It came with no fanfare at all. I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah, really, really.
I am going to seek this one out.
Yeah.
We will find it.
So are you guys tired of talking to me now, or yet, or are you
Yeah,
okay?
I think I'm going to go watch Fright Night 2. No. Was the house actually in both movies really? How much of the house was a set? And how much was a real house?
Oh, it was the only stuff outside was the exterior of the house. And then when I drive up in the car and drive away with Gramps and everything like that, the rest of it was all on stage. Mm-hmm. The forest. They actually, I think that when we open the door to that room and it's actually a forest or that was a set that they moved out to Griffith Park, and they kind of put a lamp and so we actually walked out in the woods. But the graveyard set was somewhere above Universal. I don't know if it was on their property or what it was, but the thing you can't hear in the background is Neil Diamond was singing, doing a concert at Universal, and I guess we could hear it, but the mics, were directional, so they didn't pick it up. But during that whole thing, that whole scene, all we could hear was Neil Diamond singing a song.
That sounds like that would be kind of distracting, I would think.
Yeah, well, that's what they pay it for. That's what they pay it for.
Anyway, so I'm sure that just added to it.
Yeah, probably. I do have a good Fright Night story. One of my favorites is after the movie was shot, and everybody, the movie was done. They called me up and said, we need to do your melting scene. So I said, okay, so where should I go? And they said, well, we're out in Santa Monica. We're in a warehouse out there, so come out there and we'll set you all up. So I went out there, and I was out there for they put tubes in my hair, and, for stuff to come out and all this. And they shot a back plate of the house, so I was basically in front of a green screen. And I think I did that for 4 or 5 hours, and they used Caro syrup for blood, and it would stick. It would just run down and stick, and I'd pull it out, and it would just pull the hair out of my chest, and it was just it was so uncomfortable. And after 4 hours, I said, they said, "Oh, we're done. I said, "Oh my God, thank you so much." No, where can I take a shower? They said, "Oh, dude, this is so bad. Our plumbing is off. The water's off." I said, "Are you kidding me? I have to drive home like this?" And they're like, "I'm so sorry." So I get in my car, literally covered with blood, and my clothes are just covered with this blood and this green slime. And I'm driving down the Santa Monica freeway, and of course, I'm low on gas. I'm not going to make it home, so I've got to go get gas, right? So I pull into a gas station. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to do self-service. There's a guy there, so I just waited. He came out, and I tried to keep my head kind of not looking at him. But he bent down and looked in the thing, and his face literally turned white. And he did give me the gas. And then as soon as I was leaving, I saw him getting on the phone, and I'm assuming he was probably calling the cops or something. I don't know.
Well, so
they probably didn't charge you for the gas either. He's like, "No, it's okay. Keep on going."
Yeah. No, I threw my money, and I was out of it. So.
Did you keep any of the props or anything from the films?
Yeah, I did. I kept at the end when the skull that falls down and slides across the floor.
No, nice. I
kept that, and it's sitting somewhere in my garage. And Tom keeps calling me and saying, I really want that skull. He's got a bunch of different things. I said, Tom, if you want to come over to my garage and look, you're welcome to it. I'm just not into going into the garage right now. But it's in there somewhere. That's really, I guess I kept some of the pants because the pants were cool and they fit me, so I kept those, but I probably given them away.
Yeah.
You
should, if you do ever find the skull, you should bring that to a convention sometime. I think that would get over well.
That would probably be cool. Maybe I should sell it like Amanda did with her boobs.
You could get if you got the cats to sign that would be bold.
Exactly.
Cast
You know what I
side
did do
boobs.
though? We had a kind of a when they had the monster thing here in LA. I had everybody at the cast over in Tom for kind of a dinner over at my house, and I had some of those Blu-rays. I got some of those Blu-rays, which were limited edition, and they're selling on eBay for like $200-300.
Oh.
But I got the whole cast to sign them, so I got two of them. So
that's awesome.
those are probably worth something decent at this point. But so I have a few little things, and I think you know what I actually have the original script too sitting in the garage in a binder somewhere. So I have a few things.
Mm-hmm. Did you collect anything like when you were younger and you were into movies?
I did a lot of models, like the Redco models, the Mummy and Frankenstein. And all
those were the best.
Together. Those are great. And of course, when I went to college, my mother threw them all away. So, yeah, along with all my baseball cards and, all my good comic books. So, I don't have any of those, but yeah, I had a lot of the models, and I don't think they were, professionally put together. They didn't look professional, but they were good enough for me, and I could paint them any color I wanted, so I paint them weird colors.
Did you ever get any of the ones that had the cool glow in the dark paint with them?
Yeah.
Those were the best.
Those. Yeah.
I think I had them handed down to me from my older brother.
Yeah, you probably did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose. I imagine they're probably worth something now. I guess. I mean, I don't know, but
yeah, I would assume so.
Maybe not yours. They're painted like neon crazy colors.
Yeah, maybe not. I used to. I'd paint. I'd paint Dracula's hair blonde, so I don't think that made it very scary.
Why can't Dracula be blonde?
Yeah. And, it's funny. I'm not a big vampire fan. I don't really dig vampire films much. I'm not big on Dracula, and if it's a vampire movie, although I do love Stakeland a lot, and there are some, and of course, I'm trying to think of another one. There are some good, but I just don't generally like vampire movies that much.
Mm-hmm. That's
What is your monster of choice?
It got to be zombie, probably, or supernatural, something supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, like a ghost.
But zombie movies are just like, I don't even watch them anymore because there's nothing that original. Last one I saw that was even halfway original was Warm Bodies, which I liked a lot, but that was about the last one.
Yeah, there's so many of them, and it's like it's very weird that zombies are like so ingrained in society now.
Oh yeah, I was. Did you watch the? I just watched a documentary about Night of the Living Dead called, I don't know, it's the making of it. I can't remember whether it was the Day of the Living Dead or something of the Living Dead. It was the making of it with George Romero and basically a lot of the cast, and that was really interesting.
It's like Dock of the Dead, something.
Yeah,
like
Dock of the Dead, I think.
I forget what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's you probably have people out there in LA who, they really actually prepare for the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, here's the thing about zombies, and this is my theory. This is my crackpot theory. Mm-hmm. It's impossible to be dead and alive. Now, you can't.
That's
your
really
heart
going
has
out
to
on
be
a limb
blood
right now.
for your brain to work.
Uh-huh.
Now, I understand that that's the theory and that's the fun of it, but there couldn't technically. I mean, rabies, I suppose, would be the closest thing you could get to being a zombie, because you'd have to still be alive, right?
Yeah, you would. But then I don't think it's really a zombie at that point.
Right.
Oh, we're going to do a zombie debate.
Yes, we are.
Neil's definition of zombie is very, very specific.
I get into arguments on Facebook about it, but yeah. There was
But honestly, here in LA, the zombie apocalypse could not be worse than the traffic on the 405. I mean, you wouldn't know if there was a zombie apocalypse when you're stuck in the middle of 405. It's going to be the same one way or another.
Uh-huh. So, what are your favorite zombie films?
Well, Night of the Living Dead. I mean, I saw that. I saw that when it first came out, and I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, so it was made in Pittsburgh. And when they start flashing a lot of those towns where you can go for, they're doing the newscast, or where you can go for help. Those towns were so close to Erie, and we would just scream with, "Oh my God, Youngstown, yes! Oh, Sharon, yeah!" Zelianople, and so that's probably my favorite zombie movie of all time. God, I'm just blanking on movies right now, but probably if it's a good zombie. I mean, I liked World War Z. I thought it was really good, but it's just it's hard to break any new ground with zombie movies anymore. So, there's nothing in it where you go, "Oh wow, that's so revolutionary." It's just pretty much like, "Oh yeah, they're dead and they come back to life and they want to eat people." And that can be good and fun, but like I said, Warm Bodies to me was great because it took the genre and really kind of turned it around. It's almost like Twilight for zombies.
I don't know if that's selling it for me, but I've not seen Warm Bodies, but I've actually heard a lot of people who do really like it, so perhaps I should give it a chance. Now, because you're a comedy writer, and something that's come up a lot on the show with horror movies that are also comedic is the ones that really are successful are ones where the people really play it straight and not necessarily for jokes. Do you find that's best for those type of films?
Well, I think it's best really for all films, all comedies, if they play the reality of the situation. And if you're playing jokes, I mean, that usually works in a sitcom, okay, certain sitcoms. But I think even the best sitcoms, you play the character. You never play the jokes. And I agree. I mean, if you're playing it straight, then the comedy is 10 times funnier to me. I mean, if you're throwing the joke in the audience's face, I think the audience will tend to go, "Yeah, you don't need to do that. I get the joke." And so I absolutely like it when people play it straight.
Let everybody know you're going to be October 3rd through the 5th, which is next week, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Seattle. Mad Monster Party, Shadow over Seattle, and get all your information at madmonsterseattle.com. It's going to be the biggest ever Fright Night reunion. Really looking forward to that. And everybody can come out and see you. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, come on down and see me. I'd love to see all you guys and shake your hands, and we'll take some pictures and have some laughs.
Yeah, excellent. We want to thank you for coming on tonight.
Well, I thank you for asking me, and I will see you at the Mad Monster.
Yeah, yes, we will indeed.
See you there.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you much.
Hey, everybody. This is Stephen Jeffries from Fright Night, and you're listening to Without Your Head.